Let me tell you something most men don't understand. At least, not until it's too late. It's not the emotional texts she replays in her mind. It's not the long goodbye, the late night arguments, or even the so called closure conversation. What truly haunts her is the moment you disappear. Without warning, without a word, without drama. It's that night when she casually opens her phone, half expecting a message, anything from you, and instead finds only silence. That silence doesn't say pause, it says final. But it says it in a way that catches her completely off guard. And that's when it hits her. Because here's the truth: the man who chases, who begs for closure, or tries to force understanding, that man becomes forgettable. But the one who walks away with grace, calm, and emotional discipline, he becomes unforgettable. Not because he made noise, but because he left a void. So let's break down what really makes her remember you, not out of love, but out of loss. 1. You disappear with intention, not emotion, vanishing out of spite, frustration, or to get a reaction. That's predictable. It's emotional bait, and she's seen it before. But when you walk away, not to manipulate, but because you've genuinely outgrown the situation, that hits differently. That's power. That's maturity. You don't leave because you want her to chase. You leave because there's nothing left to say. No dramatic speeches. No flurry of messages. Just the quiet, steady exit of a man who's made peace with the reality and who respects himself enough to walk away without fireworks. That kind of silence doesn't just create distance, it creates reflection. Suddenly, she's forced to sit with the version of you she never believed would stop trying. And that absence, it doesn't just echo, it lingers. 2. You hold the line, no matter what. Most men attempt no contact and crumble at the first sign of attention. A casual hey, a late night emoji, a song shared on a story. But not you. You don't flinch. You don't reply. Not because you're playing games, but because you finally realized the damage wasn't just her leaving. It was you staying available to someone who never saw your worth. You've stepped into discipline, and discipline looks like not breaking character even when it hurts. The result? You become the one she can't shake, because now she's not dealing with the emotional version of you. She's dealing with the evolved one, the man she can no longer predict or manipulate. 3. You hold on to the lesson, not the person. Most guys carry the woman. You carry the wisdom. You don't scroll her page. You don't check her stories. You don't romanticize the past. You reflect. You go inward. You ask, why did I allow this? What part of me was willing to settle? And every time you feel the urge to reach out, you remind yourself, she was a mirror, not a soulmate. And what that mirror showed you, that becomes your guide. Because growth isn't found in going back, it's found in going deeper. 4. You stop trying to prove your worth and start embodying it. Some men try to win the breakup, posting photos, chasing validation, flaunting their glow up. You don't. You work quietly. You grow privately, not for her to see, but for you to become. You're not performing, you're building. And eventually, she might notice. But by then, it won't matter. because you'll be so locked into your own mission that her opinion won't even register. 5. You make peace with not being chosen. Here's the part that stings. She didn't pick you. Maybe she moved on. Maybe she replaced you faster than you expected. But you don't chase, because you finally realized you don't need to be chosen to be valuable. You don't need her approval to feel worthy. And that moment you stop confusing rejection with failure, that's when you become unstoppable. Because now you're not living in her story. You're writing your own. 6. You cut every hidden thread. Most men leave doors open. Old photos, messages, social media follows just in case. You don't. You cut the thread completely, not from hate, but from self-respect. Because any thread, no matter how small, can pull you back into a storm you already survived. You don't want to revisit the past. You want to be free of it. And freedom comes from full detachment. 7. You lead yourself. In the past, you were emotionally reactive. You bent your truth to avoid conflict. You managed her moods at the cost of your peace. Never again. Now, you lead. You choose principle over approval. You no longer ask, will she be okay with this? You ask, is this right for me? And that shift, that masculine clarity, terrifies the version of her that once controlled you. Because now, no one drives your life but you. 8. You don't just move on, you rise. Moving on means time passed. Rising means you changed. You're no longer the man who needed her validation. You're no longer the man who was waiting. You're the man who wakes up clear, focused, on a mission. You've evolved, and your evolution no longer needs her understanding, her apology, or her closure. That's what makes you unforgettable. Because when a man disappears, not to cause pain, but to reclaim his power, his absence becomes louder than any words he could have said. So no, she won't remember the arguments. She won't remember your last message. She'll remember the moment she looked for you, and you were already gone. And when she finally realizes she can't reach you anymore, not because you're angry, but because you've grown. And that's the moment she truly loses you. Not because you vanished, but because you found yourself. So if you're done being an option, disappear completely, quietly, strongly, with purpose. And let your silence say what words never could. You've moved on, for real.